Problem segment tonight. Looks like the feds are cracking down on illegal workers and the companies that hire them. More than 1,200 people have been arrested for immigration violations. 65 of them face other charges as well, including identity theft. Federal agents raided meat processing plants in 6 states belonging to the Swift company. Many of those taken into custody had phony IDs. As we said in the Talking Points memo, the committed left press not happy with this. And neither are some unions like the United Food and Commercial Workers Organization, which would not speak with us this evening. With us now, Michael Wallace, an immigration attorney and mayor of Englewood, New Jersey. Okay, why is a union? Why are they criticizing this crackdown? You would think that the union would be happy because with more Americans in meatpacking jobs.
When President Reagan was president, Bill, the unions were for employer sanctions, that is, to punish employers for hiring illegals.
Yeah.
They have made a 180-degree turn. They are now coming out as advocates for those that are in need in the workforce. It has a lot to do with the demographics that has changed not only in the union but in industry.
Is it because the unions want legalization of all the millions of workers here, so they join a union? Is that what it's all about?
It's to their credit that they protect workers.
Oh, stop. We stopped this, Mr. Mayor. You think the unions are doing this because they're humanitarian with no other motive? Come on.
I think that unions do this for two reasons. Number one, they have strong membership and they need to increase their membership.
Okay,
Number two, they understand the demographics, the needs, the vulnerability of employees. They see, for example, in New York, the amount of hotels and restaurants and how meals and beds can be turned over with the same proficiency or the dollar that's brought home.
Right. Well, we can do all that legally with a decent guest worker program. But I believe the unions now are opposing tough federal enforcement of immigration law because they want amnesty and then they want to get all these people into unions. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
You have to be careful that you don't allow people to bootstrap themselves onto safe ground in ways that they never were intended to. But the truth is, if you have 15 million illegal people in the United States, you can talk about border enforcement and custom enforcement all you want. What do you do with those 15 million
Well, we'll
people?
figure out what to do with them. But the first thing is we have to stop the hordes from coming. And the hordes, I'm not saying that in a disparaging way, but when you have 15 million people, that's a horde. And by doing that, by what the feds are doing, is they're saying to businesses like Swift, if you hire these people and if they have phony credentials, we're going to come in, and I hope they hold Swift accountable too. They haven't charged Swift yet, but you're opposed to this raid, aren't you?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a little different. I'm a former federal prosecutor. I served at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I went on these raids. I now am an immigration lawyer, and we counsel companies in how to prepare their I-9 documentation and how to document
you're trying to do it legally. I understand.
The truth
but you don't like this.
Well, the truth is, I have to tell you, I'm glad that they went in. I'm glad they went in with warrants. For years, the bar was upset because immigration agents went in. When I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office, they had to make a showing. We went for warrants. They went
in with warrants because it was Swift property, but you don't have to have a warrant to detain an illegal, as you know.
Well, but here's the thing, Bill. The bottom line is they're putting a Band-Aid on cancer at any given time.
But you got to start somewhere. Come on.
But you don't do it in this fashion.
Why not?
Well, because they could do this every 10 minutes in just about every state throughout the country.
Good. And then maybe these big companies wouldn't be hiring these people, and maybe we wouldn't have an out-of-control situation.
Agree 100% with you. If you take
so you got to do it. Let's start.
If you take the oxygen out of this, it's great. But what you have to do is Congress is completely silent on this. They have no moxie.
They're a bunch of cowards. You know what that's all about.
But they're not giving employers the tools to enforce this properly.
The employers can have their own tools.
In
now,
1986,
Swift hasn't been charged yet.
Well,
and if Swift can say, look, they had bogus credentials, we didn't know, we tried to check them out.
What happens here, Bill, what happens here is if somebody at Swift said, wink, wink, you need papers, go down the block, make this phone call, this is how you get the papers, they should be held culpable.
Listen,
I'm also a mayor of a city, Bill. The mayor of Englewood, New Jersey. I sit there and we see people that are not lawfully allowed in our country going to schools. We see people who go to hospitals. We see people going to hospitals.
What do you do about it?
Who get fixed for free. Well, there's no word from Trenton. There's no word from Washington, and the local taxpayers have to shoulder that. That's inappropriate.
Yeah. No, look, I know, I feel your pain here. You're the mayor of, a small town, but you have the problem, and you're not getting any help from the state. You're not getting any help from the feds.
But here's the thing.
What can you do?
But thank God, immigration is finally doing something. The agents are filing directives, but it's not an effective, seamless tool.
We got to start somewhere.
I understand.
I think most people, I got to let you go, because and you should watch this next story. This is an amazing story. Plenty more ahead as the factor moves along this evening. Young Marine shot dead by an illegal alien. Now the Marine's mother is suing the